Very good morning to all of you. It's actually very overwhelming to see love and support of all of you early in the morning here. Esteemed Chief Guest, former Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, guests of honor, Honorable Mr. Manoj Kumar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Law and Justice, Mr. Lalit Bhasin, President, Society of Indian Law Firms, other eminent jurists and distinguished guests from the bar, our friends from media and academia, law firms, corporate legals, heads, general counsels, authors, scholars and readers, Oakbridge authors, we have Mr. Khandelwal, we have academicians, Professor Avinash Dadich. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Justice Katriyar, who's done a wonderful book with us. A very good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you at Vidhi Utsav, a unique two-day festival that celebrates law, legal literature, and luminaries. It is indeed my privilege and an honor to stand before such an esteemed gathering of distinguished individuals who shape the future of law, justice, and society. Today marks a special occasion where we come together to celebrate the intersection of law, literature, and the profound thinkers who have dedicated their lives to these fields. We are not just commemorating the written word or the solemnity of legal proceedings, but we are also recognizing the powerful link between law and literature, two pillars that are intertwined in the quest for justice, fairness, and truth. As we gather here today, it is only fitting that we honor and celebrate the individuals whose works exemplifies the power of scholarly thought and its contribution to the evolution of the legal system. Legal literature, as we all know, forms the backbone of understanding the intricacies of law, while legal thinkers like our eminent speakers and distinguished guests foster the intellectual nourishment required for a fair and just society. To our esteemed Chief Guest, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, sir, we are deeply privileged to have you with us. Your leadership, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to upholding the principles of justice have not only shaped the judicial landscape of India, but have also made a profound impact globally. You embody the sense of what it means to be a luminary of the law, and your presence here today elevates the occasion to new heights. You have time and again reminded us that law is not just the beacon of justice, but is also an evolving tool for societal transformation. Your various landmark judgments are a guiding light for upholding the fundamental rights and supporting diversity, equity, inclusivity with human dignity. Your erudition, pursuit of excellence, and steadfast commitment to the pursuit of justice and law continues to inspire generations of legal scholars, practitioners, and citizens alike. We are also honored by the presence of Mr. Manoj Kumar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Law and Justice. Sir, your contributions to the policy-making process in the legal realm are immeasurable, and your presence here underscores the importance of collaboration between legal practitioners, law and policy makers, and scholars for the advancement of law and justice. The role of Law and Justice Ministry is integral in ensuring that the legal system remains relevant, efficient, and responsive to the evolving needs of society. I am sure the General Counsel's community present here greatly welcomes and thanks the Ministry of Law and Justice for including the recent changes in the Advocates Amendment Bill 2025 to give them their long-awaited recognition. Mr. Lalit Bhasin, President of the Society of Indian Law Firms, sir, your leadership has greatly contributed to strengthening the legal profession in India, and the prestigious association you represent has been a crucial force in ensuring the ethical and professional standards of the legal community. Your vision for a vibrant and progressive legal ecosystem continues to be a source of inspiration for all of us. We thank you for all your support, sir. As we gather in this celebration of law and literature, we must recognize that law is not just a set of rules, it's a living, breathing testament to the ideals and values that shape our society. In the words of Honorable Justice Suryakant, Judge Supreme Court of India, who's been gracious enough to send us a congratulatory message in advance, and I quote, "The science and art behind words and language lie at the very core of law. Vidhi Utsav is a commendable initiative fostering dialogue on the past, present, and future of law and literature." Our legal system is enriched by the experience and reflections of countless minds, from the bench to the bar, from legal writers to scholars, each contributing to the vibrant narrative of justice. It is said that law is not the greatest of all goods, but it is the foundation on which all goods are built. Legal literature, therefore, is not merely a study of laws and their provisions, but a reflection of the moral, philosophical, and social undertones that guide those laws. In a rapidly evolving world, we must also acknowledge the role of technology in shaping the future of law. The legal landscape is transforming at an unprecedented rate, and technology is playing a pivotal role in making legal services more accessible and efficient. It is imperative that we embrace these changes, ensuring that the law is not only just but also accessible to all. Vidhi Utsav provides a unique platform for all of us to reflect on the evolving relationship between law and literature, to honor the scholars who make those connections, and to embrace the tools that will ensure that justice is accessible to all, regardless of time or space. As you will see in the agenda for next 2 days, we have an exciting lineup of sessions on a variety of topics that impact the present and future of law. To keep you refreshed and recharged, we also have some very interesting elements like poetry, music, artistic performances, and even some short films made by law students as a part of Legathon contest. It has taken us months of planning and hard work to bring together some of the finest speakers, scholars, and thought leaders on a single platform like this. And to the extent we know, there is no such uniquely designed event like Vidhi Utsav anywhere in the legal world. With your overwhelming love and support, we aspire to take Vidhi Utsav to other regions soon, and we are contemplating the next edition of Vidhi Utsav in Prayagraj. We have 2 parallel sessions on both days in 2 different halls. We have also a third exhibition hall in between, where you can browse through some books and merchandise. Hence, we would encourage each one of you to carefully study the agenda and identify all the sessions and speakers that you wish to attend. From this year, Vidhi Utsav is also excited to partner with Carbon Shunya, a cutting-edge greenhouse gas emissions measurement and tracking tool. As a decarbonization partner, Carbon Shunya will help us measure and reduce the carbon footprint of Vidhi Utsav, such as emissions from energy consumption, waste generation, transportation, and others, to make it more sustainable and environment-friendly. By working together, Vidhi Utsav and Carbon Shunya aim to create a more sustainable and environment-friendly event. It is never easy to envision and organize a large format 2-day event like Vidhi Utsav without charging any ticket fee. I would like to thank all our sponsoring and supporting partners, our advisors and executive committee members, and our dynamic team at Oakbridge, and our spirited volunteers in helping us accomplish this second year in a row, ensuring that Vidhi Utsav remains accessible to all. Book writing and publishing is a laborious process. It takes substantial effort and investment on part of both the author and the publisher to put together a good book. As publishers of authoritative books from stalwart authors, we would like to encourage you all to read more, research more, and benefit from the years of wisdom that an author and a publisher bring together. We are here because of our authors, their knowledge, and their hard work. Hence, I would like to thank all our authors and our readers for their faith and trust in us. I hope that we continue to make them feel proud of our association. I once again express my deepest gratitude to all of you for being here. Your presence enriches this festival and underscores the vital role that each of you plays in advancing the cause of justice and legal scholarship. We look forward to the enriching conversations, insights, and debates that will emerge during this festival. Together, let us continue to honor the legacy of scholars, thought leaders, and legal luminaries, and work towards a future where the law is not only understood but embraced by every citizen. Thank you. I once again welcome you all. Have a great time.
The very distinguished set of professionals who have graced the stage, and the distinguished members of the audience, including our very dear students, young lawyers, and everyone present here. Well, actually, I had a sense of comfort when I came here. I said, this is a weekday morning when people are busy with attending to miscellaneous cases in the Supreme Court, and particularly 9:45 in the morning, I said, is the ideal time for not having participants in a hall. So I said that, well, it'll be great. I probably would be speaking to a hall of maybe the few diehards who contribute to the success of Oakbridge, including Mr. Shrish Chandra, and then I'll probably have to go home. When I come here and I see this huge audience, I'm truly humbled and excited at the same time. A very pleasant morning to all of you. I'm thrilled to be addressing such a vibrant audience on a subject which is close to our hearts, I presume, by the sheer presence of all of you in these numbers. As someone who spent a large part of my life reading and rereading for a living, I do believe that the inward-looking purpose of literature, marinating in the written word and emerging wiser, often slips into the backdrop of our very busy lives. I use the expression reading and rereading for the simple reason that as men and women in the law, we realize that the reading of any legal document, and particularly legal literature, is never complete with just the first or even a couple of reads. Every time that you read something which is close to your heart, or even if it isn't, you gather new perspectives, new insights. As you evolve in life, so also the literature which you read has a new meaning and content. The practice of law and lawmaking demand that we explore beyond our own finite lives. Literature offers us a window into the world besides our own. Judges are faced with litigants whose experiences are vastly different from their own. A lawyer represents a diverse array of people, and academics study demographics widely different from theirs. We cannot help but fall back on literature to correct ourselves, to humble ourselves, and to learn about the people we serve. It was believed that roughly until the American Civil War, a lawyer was by and large meant to be interested in literature. This was until Christopher Columbus Langdell, an academic and dean at Harvard Law School, popularized law as an autonomous discipline, a standalone discipline. The Langdellian form of law, named after Christopher Langdell, was an inward-looking, independent form of law. It treated law as a standalone discipline, unconnected with the rest of social sciences. It resembled science more than it did humanities. Eventually, however, a phenomenon that scholars called law ands, and I'll repeat it, law ands, which included law and literature, law and philosophy, law and economics, gained sway instead of the Langdellian understanding. The boundaries between law and other disciplines, literature, philosophy, and economics, came crashing down. The bottom line, as Mark Galanter concluded way back in 1977, remained that law was not to be understood on its own, but that it requires the application of some method or substance provided by other disciplines. Literature is one such discipline. The law and literature movement therefore presumes that literature may indeed shed light on law's gaps, interpretation, and narration. That law is not an autonomous discipline is clear, but the degree to which it may look to literature remains contentious. There are diverse strands of beliefs about how law and literature intersect, or whether they intersect at all. Should we rely on literature, something external to law, to inform our reading of the law? How far should we leap beyond law's internal wisdom? Having been a judge and a lawyer for as long as I was, it was my endeavor to challenge myself with literature, learn from it, and imbibe it in my work. That explains why you will find traces of Leonard Cohen in my judgments, as I did in Navtej Singh Johar when I cited his very well-known piece called Democracy, or Bob Dylan for that matter. Exploring law and literature as a holistic area of academic study is, however, beyond the remit of my address and expertise. I wish to talk instead about one, literature as a mediator between law and society and a corrective tool for the law, and two, the deeper purpose of literature, which is to create a critical, questioning, and discursive society that eventually shapes laws for the better. Let me deal with the first theme, which is literature as a course corrector. Having spent my life in law, I have found immense wisdom, depth, and solace in literature myself. And that's not just about literature in English, whether it's Somerset Maugham, who had a great impact on my life when I read Of Human Bondage, or The Moon and Sixpence, or The Razor's Edge. Not just English literature or contemporary English literature, but literature beyond English. Pula Deshpande's Varyavarchi Varat, Munshi Premchand's Gaban. Fiction and non-fiction alike shape our lives in ways that lived experiences do not. Why limit ourselves to our own learnings when we could learn from a gallery of life portraits? It is almost akin to having lived multiple lives ourselves, only in the course of a few pages of text. Dr. Ambedkar was persuaded to introduce the principle of constitutional morality as envisioned by an English historian's work on ancient Greek history. Look at the connection. Dr. Ambedkar and ancient Greeks' work as mediated by an English historian. It is what Justice Deepak Mishra could eventually rely on to relegate Section 377 of the Penal Code to the annals of history. I myself felt compelled by staggering critical works of literature which evidenced the obsolescence of the law. I remember as a young 9th standard student reading Gaban and the travails of Jalpa and her husband, who is trapped by the police when he was really innocent. And then you realize the extent of the law's injustices. So I was all of 13, 14 years old when I came face to face with the brush of social reality that you see in the operation of law in society. E.M. Forster, the noted author, captured literature's ability to sensitize people and hopefully the law as well when he said, "What is wonderful about great literature is that it transforms the man who reads it towards the condition of the man who wrote it." Literature confronts the letter of the law with the lived experiences of the people it governs. It not only informs the genesis of law, but also constantly redirects the course of the law, should it veer towards majoritarianism. Literature pushes back against marginalizing impulses and brings difficult conversations to the mainstream. I remember reading Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton, who dealt with apartheid in racial South Africa, which had a big impact on how the law itself can be a perpetrator of injustice when you allow characteristics over which humans have no control to be used as a focal point for discrimination. Another instance, the now outmoded law on disabilities, the Persons with Disabilities Act 1995, adopted a medical understanding of disability. Persons with disabilities were defined as persons suffering from at least 40% of any disability, as certified by a medical authority. The definition implied that the so-called suffering bodies of the people were what disabled them. Over several litigations, civil society engagement, and the rest, lawmakers eventually recognized that it was the society that disabled a person and that we could do better. The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016 did away with this medical narrative that's fixated on people's bodies rather than society's deficiencies. Section 2S of the 2016 Act defines a person with disability as someone with long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, which in interaction with barriers hinders his full and effective participation in society equally with others. A piece of literature from a statute. This understanding of what the law should be is derived in no small measure from the body of literature that scrutinized disability law and argued that disability was not a physical anomaly, but a social reality. Literature, we may therefore agree, humanizes the law. What legal text may lack in context, compassion, and currency, it may derive from literature. As lawyers and legal professionals and judges make moral decisions, the law may invariably fall short in a dynamic world. Even settled ideas may require a deeper understanding in line with the altered social reality. The written letter of the law certainly embodies equality, but a fundamentally unequal society requires more than the simplistic equal treatment of all. The content of equality often transcends the written letter itself. To give you an example, deciding upon the validity of the subclassification of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes for distributing affirmative action required us on the bench of the Supreme Court to have a deeper sociological, historical, and statistical understanding of the realities of our society. This looking beyond the law is essential for perspective, for clarity. Granular data emerging from the grassroots must regularly inform the law for it to remain in sync with our changing world. We as judges and readers of the law cannot afford to look away. The second theme which I have is literature as a tool for critical engagement. Now, on the second prong, the core purpose of literature, in my view, is more than just a course correction in law. Before literature affects legal change, there is an acknowledgement that there is something else, something better that we could be doing with our laws. Critical engagement is a front runner for transformation. Reading Franz Kafka's The Trial or watching Chaitanya Tamhane's Court entails an uncomfortable reckoning with the realities of our legal worlds that our relative privilege may keep us away from. Literature is therefore not just a sport of the ideal or a corrective bridge to laws of the future. It is a foremost medium of acknowledgement of this immense discomfort and unease with the status quo. This discomfort to me is foundational to meaningful social change and is also therefore the primary purpose of reading literature for improving our laws. An important caveat before I conclude. We must strictly guard against the impulse to accept literature that fills the gaps in our worldview without challenging it. Some of you may have watched the Netflix documentary titled The Social Dilemma. One of its messages remained with me that the quest for personalization is pushing us into digital silos, and we are basically viewing more of what we agree with and less of what might potentially challenge us. A sincere engagement with literature is not finding authoritative texts which fortify our personal beliefs and biases. Doing so may be doing us a profound disservice as individuals and as a society. I do not mean to create a gradation within literature when I refer to its critical potential. Fiction may, in many ways, be of greater critical value simply because it reaches a wider audience in a much more palatable format. It is then no wonder that the terms Kafkaesque and Orwellian were readily co-opted by judges and academics in the US. Speaking further to the communicative power of fiction, until 2009, Franz Kafka had been cited over 400 times in American judgments. Speaking for myself, while I take great joy in going to a bookstore and picking up a book which I want to read, I take equal, if not greater, joy in reading books which someone else has presented to me. Because I believe the great danger in only reading what you would like to read or picking up only what you would like to read is to further confine us to the silos of our existence. On the other hand, listening to some music which has been given to you by others opens your mind to thoughts, to notes, to annotations which are different from your own. And what greater way to challenge our own existence so as to allow us to evolve to a higher plane than reading, listening, watching, and imbibing thoughts which are not thoughts which necessarily agree with our own. I will take the liberty of concluding this address with some advice. Critical engagement with literature across diverse forms, languages, and genres is essential. Later today, we talk about judges and institution building. Let me then preface this address with a primer of what I think institutional responsibility entails. I believe that the responsibility to keep our institutions from veering off course lies on those within and beyond institutions alike. And in discharge of this responsibility, literature can serve as a fantastic moral compass. Conversations about literature and its meanderings into the law are welcome first steps and must travel beyond Delhi. I'm therefore delighted to hear that Oak Bridge is taking this platform from Delhi to Prayagraj, a city in which I spent 3 very beautiful years of my life learning about law, society, and the nation. If wisdom lies in several languages, the law must not stop short of absorbing those insights from languages alike. Some of the most eminent luminaries traveled across law, literature, and even languages with striking felicity. Besides a towering body of authoritative legal texts, Justice Hidayatullah authored various Urdu books, including a critical study of Ahmad Raza's Urdu poetry. His love for literature, philosophy, and writing transcended languages: Sanskrit, Urdu, Persian, Bengali, French, Latin, and King's English was hardly concealed. Justice Ranjit Singh Sarkaria of the famous Sarkaria Commission, another former judge of the Supreme Court, translated various legal and non-legal works from English to Punjabi. He published the English-Hindi-Punjabi Dictionary of Legal and Administrative Terms and an anthology of English poems rendered into Punjabi verse. We must follow in their footsteps while carving out paths of our own. Listen to the genius of Sir Vivian Bose in one of his judgments, or the pithy genius of Chief Justice Muhammad Karim Chagla as Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court. Like law, literature emerges from our society. And like society, it is far from being monolithic. In opening the law to literature and society, we of course run the risk of it getting colored by what may be popular, but not necessarily the best. Especially in a day and age where information is often mistaken for knowledge, and the line between fact and fiction is blurred in the process, we must proceed with caution. On both professional and personal levels, we must challenge ourselves and rise above our most deeply held biases. Literature that would support nearly every proposition under the sun, legal, moral, or social, is simply a click away. It is not enough to scour for pliant authorities, to save a personal belief, because find we will. To read literature that fortifies our individual beliefs is reductive at best and divisive at worst. As professionals interested in the onward march of our constitutional values, our job is to expand the frontiers of the law and not to deploy literature to constrict or restrain those boundaries. Therefore, I'll conclude by making this appeal to all of you that the true worth of literature is not to fortify, not just to affirm, but to challenge. And the value of great literature and the great thought which underlies it is in this process of challenging to accept our own evolution as individuals, as a society, and as humanity into a higher plane of consciousness. Thank you very much for being here this morning. I'm delighted.
And it's never easy to be relevant after such a eloquent speaker and an inspiration like Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. He's an inspiration to the entire legal fraternity in India and much beyond. Uh, Also, Dr. Lalit Bhasin was a deon of the legal community in India. He's been a guiding light for many decades, and for people like us, for the entire generation that we have spent in the profession. Our friends leadership team from Oakbridge and friends have turned up in such high numbers in the morning. I've been requested to speak on Vidhi Utsav Vikas, role of efficient laws in nation building. A slightly serious topic. I'll try and keep it as simple, but I want to pick up the thread from where Justice Chandrachud left on the relevance of literature in expanding the boundaries of how law evolves rather than constricting the boundaries. One very important aspect that I would like to flag here for everyone here in the room, I see a very young crowd, is how you can participate in the process of using literature to expand the boundaries. At this very early age, I would request you to start writing, start contributing to literature in whichever way possible, whether in 1,000 word pieces or 2,000 word pieces or books and booklets on areas and topics that you find relevant. Trust me, consistently doing this over the years will stand you out as somebody who could contribute in how law shapes up over a period of time. And I was talking about this from experience. The other aspect which is very important is while we make the laws in different areas, we have 91 administrative ministries, and therefore very diverse areas where law and subordinate legislations are prepared. The entire process is meant to be participative. There is a stage for public consultation, and there is room for much deeper feedback from the entire legal community, from the students, from in-house counsels, from practicing lawyers, from our deons and retired judges. I think that would really help in bridging possibly some gaps which may remain between the learnings that can be taken from literature, analytical thinking, and how that literature is relevant in the present day and contribute to lawmaking and therefore help in bridging the literature and expanding the lawmaking process. Now coming to Vidhi Utsav Vikas. Vikas, as we understand, is not meant to be merely economic development, but a holistic transformation of India. We have a vision 2047 for our country, which we have taken up as a target. Well, Vision 2047, or even simply said Vikas, would essentially mean a much wider understanding of developing India into a socially just, economically robust, culturally rich, and a technologically advanced nation. Lawmaking plays a very crucial role in ensuring this development by creating a strong legal framework and supports, regulates, and accelerates progress in each of these domains. Let's try and dwell into each of these four categories that I mentioned. Social Vikas, in the direction of an inclusive and just society. How can the law contribute? We could all work together in further strengthening social justice and inclusivity related laws, essentially trying to ensure that discrimination of people on various issues, including scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, LGBTQs, or in any other manner, could be stopped. These are challenges which are dynamic, and new challenges come up every now and then. We need to work together to ensure that social justice and inclusivity is ensured through law. To ensure gender equality, implementing a stronger laws for women empowerment, such as equal pay, legislations, protection against harassment, and laws supporting women entrepreneurship. Expand education and skill development, essentially in the emerging areas of digital education, to ensure that we are able to evolve policies which support the digital transformations that we are undergoing. Reform in public healthcare laws to guarantee affordable healthcare for all our citizens. Promote a participatory governance. One of the very important aspects in this is use of simple language by every stakeholder in the lawmaking process, which we are working very strongly on to simplify the language that is used in the laws that are made, even in judgments of courts or any other literature that is written. Simplicity would make it more accessible. Simplification of language would make it more accessible to a larger number. Also, availability of laws, judgments, and all governance documents in regional languages to make it more accessible and participative. Strengthening the transparency aspects of governance. RTI is, of course, something that we have seen. We could strengthen the frameworks on RTI, whistleblower protection laws, citizen participation in lawmaking through public consultations. On the economic vikas of building a 5 trillion economy which will surpass way beyond before we reach 2047 with the help of legal reforms. The need to work on ease to do business, simplification of tax laws. We have a new income tax bill which is there before the Parliament, essentially trying to simplify the entire tax law that we have, essentially on the direct tax. Indirect tax would also, we already have the GST reforms in place, and similarly simplification on indirect tax law may also happen in due course. Startup and MSME protection laws, special tax incentives, reduce regulatory burdens for small business and entrepreneurs. Financial inclusion and digital economy laws to strengthen fintech regulations, digital banking policies to ensure that financial inclusion covers the entire population of the country. Sustainability and green economy is something that has to go hand in hand. So essentially strengthening the laws on carbon neutrality, incentivizing renewable energy, and mandating sustainable industry practices. Cultural vikas, which is the third element of the vision vikas that we look at, includes cultural heritage and protection laws to ensure that indigenous knowledge, traditional arts, and legal protection for historical sites is strengthened as we march towards our Vision 2047. Creative industries essentially needs to be given far more support, legislative support and legal support through reforms in the intellectual property rights domain to safeguard artists, authors, and digital content creators. Free speech and media regulation, essentially a balance needs to be achieved between free expression with laws against misinformation and hate speech. Linguistic and religious diversity laws, enforcing law protections for multilingual education, cultural representation, and religious freedom. On the property laws and succession front, a uniform civil code is something which is already taking shape by various states. Uttarakhand has already led the way and paved the way for UCC to come in across the country, and other states are also in the process of following, which we are all aware of. The fourth most important in the present context and the transformatory times that we are in, knowledge and innovation. So Vikas needs to support knowledge and innovation, law as a catalyst for the knowledge economy that has been evolving in this country in a very dynamic way. A strong knowledge economy needs a robust legal framework to foster research, innovation, and intellectual property rights. Patent and IPR laws need to be strengthened. AI and data protection laws, we already have a Data Protection Act. The implementation is in process. The other area which is very critical and important to have an understanding around is AI ethics related regulation. How much to regulate, what should be the format of regulation, what are the issues and challenges. Technology and research incentive laws, essentially providing incentives for R&D funding in universities and industries, ensuring tax benefits and innovation-driven enterprises. Digital governance and cybersecurity is again an area which is a very dynamic area for regulation. A major part of it also needs to be done through methods of self-regulation, updating cybersecurity laws to combat digital fraud, deepfakes, and cyber terrorism. Therefore, Vision 2047 for strengthening governance and lawmaking, a futuristic India requires efficient governance driven by laws that ensure accountability, transparency, and justice. Key legal reforms in these areas include judicial reforms for fast-track courts, AI-driven legal analysis, and online dispute resolution models, participative lawmaking towards strengthening e-governance laws to enable real-time citizen input into policy making, some of the elements which I was referring to a little earlier. Legal diplomacy and global leadership in lawmaking towards the future of India is also very important, because we need to also have our format and strategies in place for international trade laws, enforcing climate agreements, and positioning India as a leader in legal technology and digital trade laws. In conclusion, law is the backbone of Vikas towards 2047. Vikas must mean a legally strong, self-reliant, and progressive India, where laws empower, protect, and enable innovation. Socially, laws must ensure justice, equality, and dignity for all. Economically, law reforms should make India a global economic powerhouse. Culturally, legal frameworks should preserve heritage and creativity while fostering modernization. In innovation, India must lead the laws that protect and incentivize research, technology, and entrepreneurship. India at 2047 will not just be a 5 trillion economy or beyond, but a legally empowered, inclusive, and visionary global leader. Vidhi se Vikas, therefore, is the way forward. Let us together build a just, prosperous, and legally sound India. Thank you to Oak Bridge and to Vidhi Utsav for setting the ball rolling for this kind of a discussion and dialogue over the next 2 days, and to enable far more deeper contribution by the legal community in the way we move forward from Vidhi se Vikas. Thank you for having me here. Jai Hind.
Honorable Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud, former Chief Justice of India, Dr. Manoj Kumar, who is a very dear friend, Justice Khatriyal, former Judge of Patna High Court, noted jurist Mr. Pai, Mr. Shrish Chandra Vikesh Tyani, faculty members, colleagues from the profession, and young students. We have heard very brilliant, erudite from Honorable Justice Chandrachud. He is the dynamic former Chief Justice, a young former Chief Justice. Now, you may think that retirement and being young would be inconsistent, but it is not so. You have seen, you have heard Honorable Justice Chandrachud, what brilliant ideas he's brought about. It's a pity that in India, our judges of the Supreme Court have to retire at the age of 65. And why I call him young and dynamic is for the reason that after having put in 63 years in the legal profession myself, I still consider myself also as young. And particularly while interacting with the young students, young lawyers, one feels rejuvenated. And it's a learning experience. Whether you are a judge or you are a lawyer, it is like a continuing legal education for you. That is why there is no finality even in the judgments of the Supreme Court, because judgments are overruled by larger benches. Now, why does that happen? It is because of the learning experiences, the presentation by the lawyers, you see. This is a brilliant initiative of Oaksbridge, Vidhi Utsav. And it is very apt that it is taking place in these premises, which is the Constitution Club. It is also known, this area is known as Constitution Club. As you are aware, we are celebrating 75 years of India's Constitution and India's Republic. So it is indeed, I think, very thoughtful on the part of the organizers to have this very important event in the Constitution Club. We call it Vidhi Utsav. Vidhi, you know, law. Utsav is celebration. So we are continuously celebrating not just the achievements in law, but achievements of the lawyers, achievements of the judges, you see, who deliver judgments also and who argue cases, who are also responsible for corporate law development by entering into multilateral agreements, mergers and acquisitions, and who are responsible actually for the development of the economy of the country. Because without legal support, without legal assistance, you cannot have bilateral agreement, multinational agreements, joint ventures. You can't have anything. That is where the role of the legal profession and the judiciary comes in. What is very important and significant is that we are laying emphasis on law, vidhi. My suggestion to these brilliant organizers here sitting is that it should be Nyay and Utsav. Because as the Honorable former Chief Justice said, laws can be bad also. There can be discriminatory laws, outdated laws, overlapping laws. But most important thing which does not change is the concept of justice. Justice which is there in our preamble of the Constitution. Justice, economic, social, political. Therefore, every occasion for you, for celebration, should also be a cause for some introspection. Introspection particularly by the young professionals, by the faculty members, and by the young students. What introspection? Introspection is firstly, are we able to deliver justice to the citizens of this country? More than 6 crore cases are pending all over. What is the legal profession doing about it? What is the judiciary doing about it? What is the government doing about it? What is the parliament doing about it? No steps are being taken. Yes, there is ease of litigation, ease of filing cases online, ease of filing affidavits, evidence, everything is there. Ease of virtual hearings is there. What about ease of disposal of cases? That is where the element of justice comes in. Are our citizens getting the justice which they deserve? Therefore, that sort of introspection should also be a part of your Utsav activities, your celebrations, along with the sense of responsibility that you, particularly the younger generation, you see, have. I am 86 years old, so I have passed my, you see, whatever I could contribute, but future is in your hands. You need to do some introspection on this. Therefore, my suggestion to the organizers is that this Vidhi Utsav should be named Nyay Utsav, where emphasis should be to bring justice to the people and to keep on celebrating as we go on delivering justice to the people of this country, which they naturally deserve. Thank you very much.